Hi, my name is Shota.
And I'm Amber.
And welcome to the Kotatsu Club Podcast.
Where we talk about all things Japanese language and other stuff too.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about language mistakes.
Ooh, which we make all the time.
I definitely make them all the time.
I do too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So not just our mistakes, but just kind of like mistakes that people make in general.
In general, yeah.
I think there's, when people are first learning a language, like a group of mistakes that people will often make.
True. We collectively make these mistakes. What are those? You got examples?
I've come with examples.
Oh, you did?
No, but
you came prepared?
I didn't actually, but I think I can think of some.
Okay.
There are definitely mistakes that I made when I was first studying Japanese, and there are mistakes that I hear like other foreigners also making.
Okay.
So something that comes to mind, because I think one of the main places that you use Japanese when you're first learning and you first come to Japan is in restaurants, like when you're ordering food.
Okay. What do we
So
say?
like in English, when like the waiter comes over to take your order, but you're not ready yet, you're like, oh, I need like a little more time.
Oh, okay.
And in Japanese, we say, ah, mada kimetemasen.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we say like, I haven't decided yet.
Right.
Which is kind of basically the same, right? Oh, I need a little more time. I haven't decided yet.
Sure.
But I think learners, they don't know that yet. So they will say, choto mate kudasai. Which to the like server feels maybe a little like, oh, what? Okay. Awkward.
A little bit. Like it's not like rude or anything. It's not like if you did that, like it's not like at like in the world or anything. But yeah, I see what you say. It's awkward. It's not something that a Japanese person would say.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
So I think that's maybe one of the common mistakes that I've heard and that I've maybe done when I first started learning.
Okay.
I also would like confuse certain words, like in certain situations. Like I think there was a time at work where when I first started my job, where I was learning all of these kind of like aisatsu words, so like greeting words that you do at work, that like when I was tired, I kind of just jumbled them. So like my boss would be, oh, otsukare-sama desu. And I would be like, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. I'd realize it immediately, but like, yeah, that's maybe a mistake.
I think the good rule of thumb for like greetings stuff is that like you can literally just like repeat what the other person says, right? And then can you think of any situation where like it can go wrong? Because I can't. Because like, otsukare-sama desu. Oh, otsukare-sama desu. Konnichiwa.
I can think of one with yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So like sometimes you'll say it like to say please do this for me, like yoroshiku, like
that's true.
You're saying it kind of like tanomimasu.
It's like saying, you know, when a waiter tells you to like
enjoy your meal,
and you say you too. You know, have you seen that meme?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Yeah, true. Yeah, I think that's the maybe that's like the only situation where you can't say it. But yeah.
Or no, you know what I see foreigners doing that's a little awkward? So you know how we say like otsukare-sama desu when like work is over?
Yeah.
I've seen foreigners do it to like employees who are serving them. And that's super awkward.
Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. Have you? Wait.
I've seen it.
Do people do that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do it, actually.
I mean,
because I get it, because in English we want to say like, oh, like thank you so much, like I don't know, I think they want to like...
No, it makes sense. Like they want to appreciate, because like it's coming from a good place.
Yes. Yeah, it's coming from a good place.
But it's awkward.
It's super awkward.
Like,
it's like,
no,
it's
like we don't work together,
word.
right? Because it's only used when you work together.
Yeah.
Or like when you're like friends.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah, I think that's a common mistake too. So if you are a learner, don't say otsukare-sama desu to like employees at a store who have like just served you or something. True. Or like even if you're doing an excursion or something, like a tour guide, like maybe the tour is over and you want to say otsukare-sama desu to the tour guide, don't do it.
Okay. I hear some of the content creators I see on like YouTube and Instagram and stuff, sometimes they talk about like, don't say like arigatou gozaimasu to like servers.
But I think that's wrong.
I think that's wrong.
Right? Yeah. We're thinking of the same podcast. No. I think we're thinking of the same podcast. Yeah. Let's not say it.
So we're not gonna name but
yeah, that's so funny.
Because a Japanese person who grew up in Japan, I say that all the time.
And I hear my Japanese friends saying that all the time, so I say it all the time too.
Yeah.
So
it's completely natural.
You don't have to say.
The other option is completely okay too.
Yeah.
But saying ありがとうございます is 100% okay and natural. So,
yeah,
hey.
I agree. I know
okay.
exact podcast you're talking about.
Yeah.
The exact creator. Yeah, you can say thank you to food people when you leave.
What else you got?
What else?
Your personal experience?
Yeah, I've made so many mistakes, but I feel like I've just kind of like blocked them out of my memory because they were so embarrassing. One that comes to mind is when I was at a share house. I had Japanese friends who were super into coffee, and I was super into tea, so we were kind of like exchanging coffee and tea knowledge. And I don't know, it was just a conversation.
Yeah.
And they were asking about like my favorite type of tea, and my favorite type of tea is this tea called kama-iri-cha, Japanese tea. And iri, I think it just means like put in.
Yeah.
But I accidentally said kamakiri-cha. And kamakiri is a bug. It's an insect.
What's it called in English?
What is it called in English? It's the green bug that does this.
No, they don't. They do. They do.
Praying mantis. Praying mantis. Because we think they look like they're praying.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Praying mantis.
Okay.
In Japanese, they're called kamakiri-cha.
Okay.
And,
that sounds cool.
Not kamakiri-cha. They're called just kamakiri. Kamakiri. And so yeah, it sounded like I was drinking bug tea. So that was pretty embarrassing. What about you? Have you ever made any like mistakes in English that were like?
Yes, all the time. I make them all the time. But personal experience.
Yeah.
I think I've made a lot of mistakes around swearing. Right? Because so the way I learned English was just like repeating what the other people said to me or like said in general, right? So I just like repeating, what I have observed and
hang out with a lot of gangsters.
Not necessarily, but like, like learning.
Bros. Hang out with a lot of bros.
Not even like learning. Well, I was on a football team. No, I'm just kidding. American football team. So yeah, I guess like I've observed a lot of like bro, like a jock kind of English. One of the first thing I've learned was pop pass. Quarterback, tight end, stuff like that. So yeah, so I have definitely sweared in a situation where you definitely not allowed to, or inappropriate to do so. Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes like that. And I used to talk like, what's the cartoon dog on
Clifford? Scooby-Doo?
No, Scooby-Doo. I used to talk like no. I think Japanese people starting off learning English, we all sound like a Scooby-Doo. Like I like a rat, like I like a rat, No, it's not racist, I'm Japanese, like I've been there, done that, so I can talk about this. I used to talk like that because we can't distinguish the R sound from L sound, so like we mix them up. It's like really hard,
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the opposite too. Like when English speakers are learning Japanese, it's hard for us to grasp the way the R is pronounced. Like if you think about like how like a super English speaking person sounds learning Japanese, they're like arigato gozaimasu.
Sure.
But when it's like
that's what it is.
Arigato. So it's kind of weird because like it sounds a little bit like a D. Arigato.
ちょっと確かに
Yeah, something like L plus R equals D somehow. I don't know.
That sounds like a math equation.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Arigato.
No, but like realizing like these like little tricks are the like literally the way to get better, right? Because like a lot of people struggle to say words like community, right? Because it's not community. Well, it is community, but like how it's pronounced in American English, especially, is that it's community. Like it's like community. It's like it's kind of like D sound. But the way I see it, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So you don't think about it because you just say it.
I actually do know it because we did teach it at the school I worked with in Kaiwa.
So yeah, like realizing these like little things, I think it's gonna like improve your pronunciation a lot. And I think in general, the other thing Japanese people do is so shi and si, it seems like a small thing, but it makes a drastic difference. For example, one time I saw this like super well-dressed, well-mannered, like maybe this guy was in his like 50s, old slick back, silver wolf, well-dressed. Right?
Silver fox.
Silver fox.
I like Silver Wolf better.
Silver Wolf. Ooh. No. He was like really elegant. He walks into the room and he said, "Can I shit here?" Like, I know what you mean. But you may not. But you
here.
Not here. You can go to the bathroom. But yeah. And then I had to tell him, no, like, can I sit here, you know? Sit. But like, I get it, you know, like the letter C, you know, it's like a really hard thing for Japanese people to pronounce. Like, is there like anything, because Japanese is like phonetic, so I don't think it's like really hard to pronounce. No?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is just getting the R right. I think once you can get the R right, you'll sound a lot more natural.
Okay.
So I think that R thing goes both ways with both languages.
Okay.
What about though, like in your encounter with the silver fox, do you find it like hard or awkward to correct, or like do you feel in those situations should you give advice or should you just like not say anything? Like
I just kind of like play by ear. The occasion was something to do with learning English, so it was like completely appropriate for us to point out, not like pointing out mistakes, but like realizing each other's mistakes and, you know, kind of like learn together kind of thing. And at that time, like I was like already like a couple years in.
Yeah.
So like I knew a lot more than they did. So I think I was in a position to kind of like, hey, you know, I don't think you should be saying that, you know, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But I love being corrected.
Me too.
Yeah, cause one time my ex-girlfriend she taught me that I was pronouncing tongue, the word tongue, wrong, because I was only saying tongue because that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Right.
I see.
So you can't possibly notice that unless somebody else tells you. But then you use that word so frequently. Yeah. You want to be corrected, right? Like
that's true.
You would rather say it correctly, I feel like.
I think there's definitely a balance though, because if like you correct everything someone says, they're gonna feel like they can't talk, like they're gonna get insecure. But I think just a little bit here and there is useful. I definitely think it depends on the person though too. Like if someone's a super beginner, like I think confidence is the most important thing. Yeah. So maybe don't correct everything they do yet. Once you're at intermediate level, you can start like correcting them a little more once they have confidence.
I agree.
You don't want to bring them down too much.
Yeah.
Language is so tied to confidence, isn't it? You don't want to sound...
What do you mean by that?
I think we're so afraid of sounding like not smart. And when you're learning a new language and you're speaking it at first, you're speaking it at like a child's level. So like there's no way, you can't like fully express yourself.
Okay.
And like for me, it really like how much Japanese I can speak really depends on the situation, because like it depends how comfortable and confident I feel.
Yeah, I think you told me about that. I think for you came here, how old were you? 27? 26. So you were like fully grown and you had a career in the past. You lived in New York City. You were a respected professional in New York City. And I know what you mean. Because I hear a lot of people struggle coming here, restarting their life and in a culture and a language that they don't know too well. And they kind of feel like they're treated like a child, you know? I think that's something we can take into consideration to like, because, you know, I'm a Japanese speaking person who lives in Japan, and maybe I want to like baby them because, you know, they don't know too much, you know, but maybe that's bad, you know, it's coming from a good place, but maybe it's bad.
But you're not helping them learn. They're never going to learn if no one speaks to them in actual native Japanese.
So I guess in that regard, we need to like kind of like help each other balance and like know where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think that's a different issue though than the confidence issue.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
But yeah, maybe you had a different experience because you were younger when you moved to the US.
Oh, no, I had no problem because, you know, like I was surrounded by, you know, dumb high school football players in Michigan. And I was like, and I was one of them. So, you know, I feel like I was able to speak freely.
That's true, Yeah, kids don't care.
Okay, you want to explain what this section is all about?
Yes, so in this section, Shota reads a news article in Japanese, and you guys and I get to try to understand what he's saying. And then after he's done reading it, I'll try to like say how much I understood, and we'll see how much I understood.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Here we go.
行きましょう。
行きましょう。じゃあ行きます。
はい。
親のスマートフォン使用が子どもの言語発達に悪影響を与えているようです。新しい研究でスマホを使用中の親は子どもたちへの話しかけが 26% 減少していることが分かりました。テキサス大学オースティン校の研究チームは16組の母親と赤ちゃんのペアに1週間にわたり1万6000分以上のスマホ使用と音声データを記録したところ、短時間のスマホ使用をしている時の方が長時間の使用と比較し、会話の量が 26% 減少していることが分かりました。専門家はこの結果に対してこのように発言しています。スマートフォンの使用が母親の会話に与える影響は、短時間のスマートフォン使用が最も影響が強いです。親がスマートフォンを1分から3分使用した場合、長時間の使用と比較し、発話がより減少する傾向にあります。理由としては、長時間のスマートフォンの使用はビデオや電話のために使用している可能性が高いため、子どもとの会話量に与える影響が少ないと考えられています。それに対して短時間のスマートフォンの使用はコミュニケーションを中断させてしまうため、子どもたちへ話しかける量が減少してしまうと専門家は話しています。That's it. Okay. How much were you able to understand? How much did you guys understand?
I feel like I was actually able to understand a little less than usual.
Okay. Which is expected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I got was that there's kind of this research that kids who use smartphones are kind of like learning language from the smartphones if they use it for a short amount of time.
Okay, you definitely heard the words, but this research was actually about the amount of smartphone usage of parents, how much effect it has on children's development. And the University of Texas, Austin, did a research on it on 16 pairs of mother and their babies, and they just recorded like ridiculous amount of audio data and smartphone usage record. The result was when parents used smartphone for short period of time, the amount of conversation between the children and mother decreases by 26%. But what's interesting is that when a mother uses smartphone for like a short period of time but frequently, it actually decreases the amount of conversation more than when mothers use it for a longer period of time, because researchers suggest that it's because when a mother uses smartphone for a longer period of time, it's most likely they're using it for like calling, like video calling, and like watching video and stuff like that, and they're doing it together, so which doesn't really like decrease the amount of conversation. So yeah, but this is a lot more academic than the usual. That's what I meant by it's kind of expected that you.
Yeah, I also just think I'm a little more tired than usual. Yeah, like literally the first line is "Oya no smartphone shio," so it's like obviously it's the parents using the phones, not the kids. 子供の言語
発達。言語発達。So 言語発達 means development. Yeah, it's a really good word to know. Other vocab words, 研究, that's research.
I think that's an easy one actually.
Okay.
It's like one of the first words we learned, kenkyu. I don't know why. But I would say another hard one I heard was contrast. Hikaku.
比較.
Hikaku, I think, yeah, maybe people don't know that word. Contrast, right?
Contrast. So 比較する means to compare or contrast. So the line was,短時間のスマホを使用している時の方が長時間の使用と比較し 会話の量が 26% 減少していることが分かりました。
Yeah, so I'm looking at this article now, and it's very interesting because there's almost no words that I don't know in it.
Right.
Yet, like when I was listening to it, I didn't fully understand that much.
Yeah, I think conceptually, like this topic is a little bit, because like when I first read that, like I went like, huh? Because inside your head, okay, so they're using smartphone less, but that leads to less conversation with their children. So, but that's the point of the article, right? It's interesting because if they use it longer, that has actually less effect on the amount of conversation they have with their children.
Oh, also this kanji I don't know.
Oh, so that's a really good one. So keiko means tendency.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see like the effects that smartphones are gonna have, because like we weren't raised with those. So
no,
like,
and nor our parents.
Yeah.
And you know, like we had no iPads growing up.
We're old. Yeah, you just wonder what's gonna happen.
I know, right?
Are they gonna be smarter, or are they gonna be dumber? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think? Would you give your kids like iPads? Would you have iPad kids?
Ooh, yeah, no, I've been thinking of that too. I probably won't, but but then, so my sister has 2 children, my niece and nephew. They're very cute. They're like always in front of the iPad, but then like I get it because it's hard raising 2 children without an iPad. I don't know how our parents did it.
I know, right? How did they do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me and my cousins, we were like playing outside a lot. I would just like play in my room with like my toys.
Yeah, but I guess at the same time, like I'm like I would be a little bit worried if like my children didn't know how to like use technology and like other children did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know the balance.
Yeah, there's definitely balance. I think like 0 isn't good, but also like all the time is probably not good as well. I'm sure there's like a happy medium.
Yeah. Do you have these moments where like you hop on a train and like you just kind of like look around and like everybody's like looking down on their like screen?
Yeah.
Have you had that moment?
For sure, yeah.
I have that moment all the time. It's like such a like depressing thing to see.
A little bit.
A little bit. I do that too,
right? It's like that depressing, because what were people doing before? Reading newspaper, reading books. Like they're probably still doing that, just like on their phone. Yeah. Like when I'm on my phone, like I'm studying kanji, so it's like I don't know.
I'm working
if it's
on my Duolingo.
Yeah. You're learning Spanish.
Yeah. I guess it's a balance, right?
Yeah, I think it's good to have on the train. Like sometimes like I'll forget my headphones or something, or my phone will be dying, and I'm just like sitting on the train like, where do I look? You know,
when you're a kid, like in the bathroom, what were you doing? Not well. Okay. No. Because like you spent like what, like certain amount of time in the bathroom, right? So like what I used to do was just like I read what's said on like back of like spray can or something. You know what I mean?
That, yeah.
You've done that, right?
Yeah, because it's like you need to. I don't know. It's weird. You need to like distract your brain to like, have a relaxing time.
Do you take your phone?
I can't go without it. Yeah.
Or you can't go without it. What about shower?
I don't take my phone in the shower, but I definitely like wish you do.
I do.
Oh wow! Can you? Like, how do you?
So I have this like a little like a Ziploc bag for it.
I see.
For it, but like...
Yeah, I have a Ziploc bag for like taking photos underwater, but I should bring it in the shower. Because there is like, I want to listen to podcasts while I'm showering.
So we're definitely getting a lot of like input, right?
Yeah.
And we need to be like distracted. Because like you said, like when you're not working on something, or like when you're not like observing new information, you get a little bit anxious.
For sure, yeah.
I get that too, right? But
I have a hard time like relaxing and just having fun to have fun.
I know, right?
Yeah. Like if I'm having fun, I'm like,
I think that's a problem.
Could be working on something.
I think that's a problem.
It's definitely not good, yeah.
You know? So sometimes I consciously not take my phone into a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know, when I use the bathroom, so that I have like a moment to like internalize what I have observed, which is, in my opinion, as important as observing information itself.
That's true.
So
I come up with a lot of viral video ideas for you when I'm like in the shower.
Okay, yeah. Well, take your bathroom. Not take your
take your
phone. Yeah.
Leave it outside.
Leave it outside.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important. I definitely feel my brain being overstimulated, like at times.
For sure.
Like when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'm like, oh fuck, kane kaseku.
Hey,
why is this in my head?
Yeah, so it's a problem.
Okay, so we're gonna do the question of the day. So I have this question that someone wants to know what it's like teaching English in Japan, and is it a good job? So I think you probably know a lot of English teachers in Japan. I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever taught English?
So, okay, it's funny because back in college, I worked as a English tutor, but like for English classes.
Yeah.
So like what's like clauses are, you know.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like have your like fanboys.
I've heard of fanboy. Wait, no, what's a
fanboy? So for, or, nor, but, or, yet, so like you had to put comma before like these words, and it's like little stuff like that. Like I was like weirdly good at stuff like that.
Wow.
So like I was actually, I know it's weird, right? Because I don't even speak English, but like I was like tutoring American kids, like college kids.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird, but like I wasn't.
Wait, so you were tutoring English in the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Oh,
no,
wow.
but like for like punctuation and stuff like that,
yeah.
you know, because I don't know why, but like I was like really good at it because
That's
like
so cool.
I learned English as a second language.
That's so funny.
I don't know, it's so funny.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I probably know more about the technical grammar of Japanese than
Oh,
you
you
do.
do.
Just because I'm studying it.
I don't think about it at all.
And you know what's something interesting? In the US, we have English classes where we like learn grammar, like our whole lives, from like shogakuse to like kokosei, even in college. But in Japan, you guys don't have, like, you have where you learn old Japanese, but you don't have where you're like learning Japanese grammar, right?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, really?
Kokugo.
So many people have told me like that doesn't exist in Japan.
Okay, so because it's
like,
more comprehensive. So like, so kokugo is a category. It's kind of like saying math, right?
Yeah.
Kokugo means like a national language. So like we learn kanji, we learn idioms, but we learn about like punctuation, like not so much grammatical rules. Yeah. So I guess that's what that
saying. Yeah.
And we learn how to read like ancient Japanese and stuff like that. I don't remember any of it, but
I guess English class is similar. We learn like SAT words, which is like words that we don't use in daily life but use for exams.
Yeah.
We learn like Shakespeare, which is kind of, I guess, like ancient Japanese.
Sure.
We don't have kanji, luckily, but we do. I guess we learn a lot of grammar. We do. Like that's how I learned grammar when I was like a shogakuse kid. And I remember like having a really hard time grasping it because it was so like we were using it naturally.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't like really figure out like the concepts. It was hard.
It just still surprises me when people say something like I would have done something or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Like, you know?
Yeah. And reading comprehension, that's also what we studied in English.
Teaching English.
Right, back to the question.
Yeah.
Teaching English in Japan, I think it's a great foot in the door into Japan, like if you want to live here. But is it a sustainable job? That I'm not sure. Because the pay is very low and there's not a lot of room for mobility. So like moving up as a foreign English teacher.
Right.
So the pays have gone down in recent years. I heard in the 90s they were much better. It was much better, the pay for English teachers. But then right now there's such a demand for people to move to Japan that these companies are able to like lower their salary basically to the minimum wage. So there are some companies that do pay better than others. Ion is a good one to look at. It's an eikaiwa, so you teach like adults and children. The JET program is the ultimate like gold standard. It's an ALT, but the drawback with that is you don't get to choose where you want to live, whereas you do get to choose at Ion. So I would say those are the two probably top tier ones that you will not be struggling to survive when you come here.
Do you get to choose where you live?
Yeah, for
Eon, or like to a certain extent.
No, you fully get to choose where you live. So basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I heard different.
Oh, maybe they changed the policies.
No. Maybe you requested somewhere unpopular.
No. You get to choose.
Really?
But the thing is, if where you choose is not available, like say I'm like, I want to live in Kyoto, like I want to work in Kyoto, they're like, okay, we can put you on the list for Kyoto. There's a long list.
Okay.
You might have to wait years before you get Kyoto.
Okay.
Or we can give you, these are the other options that are available.
Maybe somewhere near.
Yeah, so when I told them, like, I want to live in Shikoku, luckily, no one else really.
No waiting list for that.
No waiting list for Shikoku.
Sad.
But you do get to choose. Like, if I basically, when I went in, they match you. So they ask you, like, what kind of city you want to live in.
Okay.
Which I think is such a pro to Eon. I think they might be the only company that does it. Maybe there's some other eikaiwas that do it. Yeah, it was so cool. They were like, do you want to live in like a more city or like countryside? And I was like, I kind of want to be in nature. They were like, do you like hot or cold weather? I was like, do not put me anywhere near Hokkaido. I hate the cold. Like, put me as down south as you can get me.
Yeah.
They tell you other stuff too, like what kind of like people, like do you want to be more social, like and they said something good about Kochi. It was that people are really friendly.
They really match you
yeah.
to the location.
And I loved my location. It was so perfect. It fit me so well, so I was really happy. But I do think I also got lucky with my coworkers and the stuff that I like entered. I think some people get less lucky and they're not a good match for their coworkers.
Yeah.
And they might have a harder time. But it's a good foot in the door to Japan. Is it a good job for like ever? Maybe not. With Eon though, there is mobility. So you can actually become a trainer. You can become like a substitute teacher where you get to like travel around the prefectures filling in where they need.
What's your like everyday life would look like? Like what are your like daily tasks?
So for a teacher at Eon, so I can really only speak for the one that I did, which was a Kaiwa teacher. I would come into the office and just kind of like go over the classes that I had for the day. And their training is really good at Eon. So the support in the training is amazing. So I felt very prepared and I didn't actually have to prepare my lessons that much. I just kind of had to like look over what I had to do for the day.
Are you sure you're not paid by Eon?
I know, right? I just had such a good experience and I just like get excited talking about it. But again, is it something I would have wanted to do forever? No. Something that I didn't like about Eon is that the hours, so it starts, you have to come in 15 minutes before your actual start time. So my start time was at 12, but I had to be there at 11:45 because that's just kind of like a Japanese like office thing. Do you have to do that in your office? Do you have to?
No, not
you
at
can
all.
come on time.
Well, there's no on time like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's like a more flexible.
Well, but I mean, I work for an American company.
Yeah.
So
do you think most people have to like come 15 minutes before their start time?
In schools, we were taught that, like show up at least 5 minutes, ideally like 10 to 15 minutes earlier to everything. So maybe that's like how the society operates in general, you know?
Yeah. So I had to come 15 minutes early every day. 11:45. My day would end at 9, but like my class would end at 9. But like after, like the students want to talk to you, you want to like, I don't know, clean up your stuff. Like you end up leaving at like 9:30. So when all was said and done, including my 1 hour lunch break that's like factored into your day, I was working like 10 hours.
Sure. Okay.
So it was like unsustainable.
So it is a time consuming work. So teaching English, I feel like there are like maybe not several, but like a few different categories.
Yeah, there are.
So what are those? And
I think that there's two main ones. There's ALT teacher, where you're kind of an assistant language teacher. So for those ones, that's really good if you're lazy, I think.
Why? Why would you say that?
You can kind of like chill. You don't have to lesson plan as much.
Okay.
Because you're kind of just like attending the class with the main teacher. The main teacher is teaching the lesson and you're kind of there to just help with pronunciation. And you're kind of, some people complain that it's so boring because they just feel like they're a human tape recorder. They don't feel like useful.
Yeah.
But when you're an Eikaiwa teacher, you're literally teaching the class. You're the head teacher. You are in charge of the lesson. You're teaching adult classes and children's classes, or one or the other, depending on your school. Yeah, so I think it depends what you want to do. Personally, I think the ALT would have been a better fit for me because...
Yeah, you're lazy.
I'm
no, just kidding.
It's not that I'm lazy, it's just like I would have appreciated being able to talk in Japanese with the staff on downtime. You're encouraged to like connect with your staff and speak Japanese usually with your coworkers. Right. Not in front of students, of course, but like when the students aren't there. Whereas Ian or any Eikaiwa, you're expected to speak English all the time. Right. Even in the office with your coworkers, so that they're exposed to your accent and stuff.
Yeah.
Which
can be like a huge downside for some people.
It was a huge downside for me because I wanted to learn Japanese.
Exactly.
And I couldn't speak Japanese for 10 hours a day. I was speaking English. Like, I hated that. That's one of the main reasons I quit, because I couldn't speak Japanese all day.
But I think it's worse when you do that in a city, because outside of work, you kind of had to speak Japanese, right? Because you were in Kochi, super countryside. So, like, nobody spoke English there. But then, because I know a few Eon teachers here in Tokyo. Yeah. They literally had no chance to speak Japanese because during work they spoke English, and outside of work, I mean, pretty much not everybody, but like a lot of people do understand and like speak a little bit of English. They literally spoke zero English in Japan for like considerable amount of time. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing that I was in the countryside and I could speak Japanese outside of work. Outside of work, there wasn't many hours outside. I was mostly working. True. Yeah, I would say pros of being an English teacher in Japan: you get hooked up with a visa, you get hooked up with an apartment usually, a bank account, like they set you up. And it's hard to set up. It's hard to set yourself up when you're like not native in the language and like you don't know how to navigate getting an apartment and stuff. Like honestly, I was so thankful for all of that support that I had from my company. Thanks, Eon.
Yeah, but any English company that is flying you over will probably offer the same support or similar support. So I think it's a great foot in the door in Japan. If you do it, make sure to like try to enjoy it because it is fun. You do get to like help people like reach their language goals, like do a good job. Don't just like do the bare minimum if you do get one of these jobs. But I don't think it's really sustainable for more than a year, especially if you're coming in your older 20s like I did. I came when I was 27 because it's not a real career. It's not a career that you can really grow in.
What about teaching like children, like actual children, like
fake children,
kindergartners?
You know, I didn't have to teach them, so I'm not actually sure. But I'm assuming it would be a little more difficult because they're like young and they just want to like play and like probably harder to like.
Yeah, because one of my good friend's girlfriend, she's from Germany. Okay. And she speaks. She's not a native speaker, but then she speaks like pretty good English, and I think she teaches English at like this like school where like babies
then go you're like to a daycare. You're like
it's like an international daycare. Do you think that's a? But she said it's like a better option to normal
kids, like normal
kids, or like
shogakuse,
or just like a teaching English in general. Yeah.
Why does she like it?
Well, she said like the benefits are better. The pay's slightly higher, less time consuming. I think those three things she said. But I mean that's just her opinion and experience. So and she likes kids. I think that's like a big thing, right? If you hate kids, then
by the way, if you do hate kids and you want to come to Japan as an English teacher, do not fear because Eon also takes that into consideration. And if you tell them you don't want to teach kids, they'll put you in a school that only teaches adults. Oh. So that's a cool option.
You see, your experience is a lot more positive than the ones I hear.
You probably hear a lot of people who are in Tokyo, right?
I was about to say.
Yeah.
So maybe like go to suburbs, or like if you don't mind countryside, go to countryside because you're valued a lot more in countryside because you're not a rare commodity. I know you're not object, but like you're right.
I mean you kind of are.
Your talent is object, a lot more rare.
Yeah.
You know.
There's not as many English speakers where...
Yeah. Consider going to smaller places, then I think you're going to be valued more.
Yeah, and once you are here after a year, if you want to continue teaching English, you could pivot to go to like maybe an international kindergarten like your friend teaches at, because usually those...
Why are you pointing at me?
I'm just referring to what you said earlier. It's an English
international
gesture.
Kindergarten.
Like you can teach Shota, who's a kindergarten student. Teach me! No, so there's the English opportunities in Japan that don't hire from overseas tend to be better.
For sure.
In general, because again, so many people want to move here. They have so many people to choose from. They're able to like lower the standards of what they're offering.
True.
But once you are here, you have a visa, you're not desperate anymore for a job. Your world will open up.
Yeah, you get to take your time and actually assess different jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if you're one of those freaks who loves Tokyo, that's great because, just kidding. Those are probably the normal people. I'm one of the freaks who likes the countryside. There's a lot of opportunities here that aren't English teaching, so.
Yeah, true. Like teachers go to countryside. Software engineers go to the cities.
Yeah. Done.
Bye.
Just kidding. Yeah. But not just kidding because we're going to actually go now.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right?
Yep. Well, thank you so much for tuning in.
If you guys have any questions, make sure to email us at kotatsuklubbpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on one of our Instagrams.
I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.